Whatever stage you're at with your trading, it's important to stop and gain perspective before planning your next move. Take a break from the charts and join in the discussion with our hosts, Jason Graystone and Akil Stokes, as they share insights, opinions and expertise on all things trading. Grab a coffee, pull up a chair and join the Trader Coffee Break.
Welcome back to the Trader Coffee Break, guys. I hope you're doing well. I'm Jason Graystone.
Akil Stokes here.
And we're here for another coffee and another little trading rant away from the charts for a bit to talk all things trading. I hope you've been enjoying this channel so far. And before we go on, I'm going to plug something straight away because me and Akil are useless at plugging things. And we've got an event coming up the 15th, 16th, 17th and 18th of November, right, Akil?
Yes, sir.
And the event is called Ascension. And we're going to be talking about some of the topics we're going to be discussing throughout this whole series, plus what we're going to be discussing in this particular episode as well. Akil, do you want to talk a little bit about what the event?
Sure. I'll put it as briefly as possible. If you're new to our events, it's not like many of the other events you see on the internet where it's pre-recorded and you're going through PDFs. This is a 4-day workshop. It's going to be live. We're creating the event based off of what our audience wants. So we have kind of general ideas of things we want to cover. We want to cover the different foundational elements of trading. We've got 40 years of experience between all of us. So we can hit on all type of topics. We know what traders struggle with, but honestly, we're going to kind of custom fit that event based on our audience that shows up. So you're going to want to make sure to be there. I guarantee if you haven't been at one before, there's nothing like it. We've had so many people say that they've got more value out of our free events than stuff they've paid thousands of dollars for in the past. So yeah, don't miss it. It's free.
Yeah, don't miss it. And definitely go and the links are below so you can go and register for it. And even if you can't make every day, if you register it, you'll be offered out the recordings as well, completely free. So we send out the recordings after the event as well. But do recommend you're there in person if you can be, because it's very high energy, high engaged, and it's really, you're going to take more from being there if you can. So definitely be there. We've got the plug-in. You can find the links below. This week, we're going to talk a little bit about, it's based off a question that I got about what the difference is between Forex and crypto, or what the difference is in trading between the two. And we thought we'd just kind of expand on this topic because it's not just Forex, crypto, it's stocks, any other instrument really, any other instrument that you could trade. We want to talk a little bit about how you can apply technical analysis to that and the differences between, or the approach in using technical analysis in the markets, because it really just boils down to the same thing anyway. So, Akil, let's kick off with your quote, right? You said you had a quote that you had related to this.
Yeah, I had a quote from Denise Scholl, and I don't know if you guys know her out there. I like her a lot, trading psychology. She used to be a sports psychiatrist as well. So there's a lot of relationships between sports and trading. She's actually, if you guys watched the show Billions, for Dr. Wendy Rhodes, I think her name is, that's the character that was basically based off of what she did. So she used to be in there, kind of like Brett Steenberger, on the trading floor, just helping these traders stay mentally sane. And I shared a quote of hers the other day. It said, trading is the most difficult mental challenge there is. No set pattern like weather, no end game like sports, no clarity of meaning when things go bad, always arguments for both directions. And I love that quote because and we hear it all the time, Jason. What's the secret strategy? What secret strategy can I use to be successful in Forex, to be successful in the stock market, to be successful in crypto? And we always give the same answer, right? It doesn't matter what market you're trading is, you need to be a good chartist. You need to be good at technical analysis. And if you develop the skill of technical analysis, it's going to allow you the ability to be successful no matter what market you go to. And again, I still think so many traders are putting up these barriers, these walls where it's like, hey, I want to do crypto, so I have to learn this. If I want to do stocks, so I have to learn that. And there are going to be some differences between different pairs in Forex, different markets. But in general, the foundational elements are the same. And if you master them, you could be dangerous across the board.
Absolutely. I would agree. And I'd say, yes, there's different legalities and different kind of rules and kind of whatever country you're in, different tax differences, like that, all that kind of stuff is different. And the way that you buy the product might be a little bit different, but essentially trading and looking at a chart to trade and make good trading decisions based off of technical analysis. The first thing you have to understand is when you look at that chart, all that is a representation of human behavior. That is it. Mm-hmm. So the great thing about that is you've got historical data showing how humans have behaved until today. And obviously the longer that market, the better, because you've got more of a sample size. So like things with crypto, for instance, we don't have, like with Forex, you can go back 10 years, 20 years maybe, and get some real historical data there and great sample sizing. With crypto, you might not be able to go back as far. However, it's still about understanding the patterns and what's likely to happen in a certain occurrence at a certain level. And you can do that without, you can learn that stuff without, we teach that stuff, right? But you can learn that stuff without any historical data. All the historical data does is kind of re-improve it. It's proof. But things like for crypto, for instance, we're putting in new highs all the time. Like we just see new highs on Ethereum, we've got new highs on Bitcoin, and there's no previous data to really show you where market's likely to react, because we're in the middle of nowhere. We're just, we could go to the moon. However, there are certain things that play out in every market, things like even handle numbers, things like, things like candlestick formations, where you can read how price is decelerating and running out of steam. There's indicators that you can use. There's there's stochastics you can use, things like that. And the real beauty of it is being able to build a case for a high probability entry, and then just watch it, just watch what happens, and then say, oh, okay, well, that didn't happen how I thought it would. What did happen? And then start building discretion that way and becoming a better analyst that way. Like whether you're in the Forex market, stock market, crypto market, humans still behave the same. Traders are still looking at the same thing. Structure is still being created day to day. And that structure is subjective, but what you want to do is go in there and figure out a way of identifying the most common structure across all people and all participants. Is that fair to say, Akil? I think I've got the point across there a little bit.
Yeah, 100%. I love what you said about, I don't think a lot of people realize this, about the price chart is nothing more than a visual representation of the market, all of our actions, which human beings, robots can, code it by human beings. It is a visual representation of it's crowd psychology. Yeah. And if you can understand that, it gives you a massive advantage. I was reading this book recently. It was talking about the old school stock days. And I don't know if you ever read the book, like what's it called, Reminiscences of a Stock Operator. Yeah. You hear stuff like reading the tape and watching the ticker and all the stuff they had to do back in the day before they had technology. And what they were doing with that was basically trying to gauge the behavior. People that were on the pit, you're judging the excitement. You're looking at the guy to the left, how anxious is he to buy? How anxious is she to sell? And you're trying to make a judgment there. Yeah. We're doing the same thing in the market. We just have a massive advantage because we've got candlesticks or data line, whatever you want to use. Yeah. We've got technology in front of us that allows us to see it with no delay. We get basically real-time information on what everyone else is doing. Yeah. And
not just in the pit, across the whole world, like at once.
Yeah. Right? I don't know if you knew this about Todd Brown. Todd Brown was one of our trading mentors, brilliant mind. When trading made the transition from kind of like pits to, computers, when people weren't actively on the stock floor as much, or trading floor as much, they kind of went to, computerized stuff. He was like a consultant that they brought in to kind of teach him to like, hey, you dinosaur, here's how you adapt to the new age, right? So he had a lot of experience kind of telling him like, hey, you see this big high momentum red candle? That's the same thing as Brian over there going crazy, trying to unload all these positions. And when you can understand the market in a different light, and again, it's not just looking at candlesticks as like, oh, red, green, up, down. When you can read it like you talked about, like, hey, this is a high momentum candle. Hey, this is losing momentum. Hey, this is a pin bar, which means something very specific. These are little clues that the market is giving you that tell you how people are behaving. And if there's anything about human beings, I think you can agree, we're pretty predictable. We're pretty predictable in our behavior patterns. So when you can get specific clues, you can make some pretty high probability predictions about what's going to happen next, as well as avoid the traps that a lot of kind of rookie or undereducated traders get trapped into as well. So we have a massive advantage of trading as traders these days. And we're doing the same thing, just in a slightly different way as what they did back in the day.
Yeah. And I remember when I remember speaking to an old boy institutional trader. He was in the pit, and he said, like, when everything went like retail, like when it was accessible online or everything went digital, loads of those traders really struggled. They failed. Like they failed massively. They got taken out of the market. They didn't know what to do. Loads of them became depressed. They just lost their edge completely. And like literally overnight almost, they didn't know they didn't know how to do it, because it's a completely different dynamic, completely different environment. And what's essentially happened is you've gone from kind of building this edge that's taken years of discretion to having an edge just like bang, everyone's learnt your edge in like 10 minutes, because it's like, well, there it is. You know, that's how everyone's behaved.
Real quick on that, there's a great movie, I hope I get the name right, I think it was on Netflix, called Floored. I think it's that. I don't know if you saw that. Where it's devastating watching, like, again, I call them the dinosaurs, like the people that were unable to adapt when things changed. And again, it reminds me of the COVID year, 2020, when businesses had to adapt, and some of these dinosaurs just could not do it. And we saw so many businesses fail. And it's like, bigger picture aside from trading, it just shows like you have to be innovative. You have to think outside the box. You always you can't settle on anything, because you never know, like one day, you know, charts may go away. Who knows? And or a new age of the metaverse may take over. Inside the chart doing stuff. Exactly. You got to always be prepared.
Yeah. And I guess that's one thing to do with technical analysis in terms of like the difference between the markets. I mean, we could talk a little bit about that. I mean, the Forex market obviously is open longer. There's more, you know, you can get better leverage. I say better leverage as long as you know how to use leverage.
Double-edged sword there.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword. Whereas stocks are, you know, you have to have a lot more money to trade stocks potentially. I know you can do, you know, micro stocks now and I can't remember. I
don't know much about it, but I heard it's too old.
Yeah, you can trade portions, stock portions and things like that now. But essentially, the Forex market has always been the one that I've gravitated towards, just because of the amount of markets and the amount of volatility, and the fact that it's 24 hours a day, 5 days a week, and the fact that it's low entry cost, you know, and it's always just been the one that I've gone to. Now with crypto, you can't really trade crypto as such properly at the moment. And also crypto isn't being used as a currency right now. You know, it's not really being used what it's been designed for. It's just a load of, there's a lot of kind of new, it's like a ton of IPOs all come at once. And it's like, what do I do with all this? And it's more hype driven than anything. It's not, we haven't got a realistic sample of what, you know, how it is when it's used properly. Having said that, the greed and the fear that drive the markets is still the same. So if you go back and watch my Bitcoin entry in 2018, you'll see that I entered on a compression channel with a dip. I did exactly the same pattern in February this year and got in exactly the same pattern. I even put out a video yesterday on the pound yen, which had exactly the same pattern as well. And you can go and follow that along. That hasn't even played out.
Are you saying a classic charting pattern played out in crypto the same as it would in Forex or the stock market?
Absolutely.
Interesting.
Yeah. And the thing is, if you can go and test these things and you can build some rules around it, that's really all you need. And then you can apply that to any market, you know, and you could, as long as you understand position sizing and you're not, and you understand and respect leverage and you understand risk management, you can do well. You can do well in any market. It really doesn't matter what market it is. You can literally put a Post-it note over the ticker or whatever market is, and just literally be looking at any chart and you'll see the same things again.
And I would say this, make sure you take the time, you know, just don't, just don't learn the pattern, right? We were talking about a book earlier. I actually got it right here in the live room. One of my favorite reference guides, if it's the right way, the Encyclopedia of Chart Patterns by Thomas Bulkowski. It's a thick boy, 1,000 pages here, right?
One.
But it's not one that you read front to back. It's a reference to different classical patterns that you kind of like, oh, I want to learn more about this megaphone pattern, and you flip to it. But I think a lot of new traders, a lot of new traders are so consumed with just learning the pattern. Like, okay, teach me this compression pattern, teach me this. I want to identify it. I think the way to take your trading to the next level is to not just know what the pattern looks like, the ability to identify it, but understand the story behind it. Because like the quote we started off with about how trading is learning it is the easy part, right? The psychological and the mental challenge is the hard part. I bet when you entered those patterns each and every time, right, you were fully confident. It wasn't just you going to a chart and being like, oh, this looks like what I saw on the internet. That's cool. You understood that, hey, this is why this pattern is forming. This is my expectation once I see this pattern form. And because you had that deeper understanding of what should happen next, and we never know if it will, these things don't hit 100%, but because you had that deeper understanding of, hey, when I see this, it means that, and this is what the result should be. When you entered it, you were completely confident. Yeah. And a lot of people will downplay that part, but the confidence is what's going to stop you from doing dumb stuff. If it doesn't break out right away, are you going to bail on it? Yeah. If it shoots up right away and gives you a little bit of profit, are you going to take your money and run? Like, no, you're going to have the ability to see it play out because you fully believe in it. And that comes from doing the work and understanding more than just what it looks like, but what it means. I think that's so important.
Totally. And even when I took that out and that investment out, it was even from a portion of money that I dedicate to real high speculation, like literally a punt, but it wasn't a punt because it had to be at least 10 years old, which it was at that point. And I had to go and test a certain pattern, which I did. Again, 10 years, new currency, bit volatile. Who knows how it's going to behave, where it's going to go, like Dogecoin and all the rest of them, right? But at that point, I had the money that I was willing to lose put into the market on a system that I'd tested and I was confident in, and it was a good it was a good investment. So
it's high reward. We do the same thing. I haven't gambled in a while, but when I used to play craps, right? Me and my friend, I got this. He works for the IRS. He audits people. That's what he does for a living. He's a numbers guy. And when I learned trading and risk management and stuff like that, and we took the same investment approach to the craps table, where slow, consistent approach. The casino always has the edge, but we took the approach that gives us the best edge we can get. And then once you get a certain amount of profit, the punt money, then you can take a high probability guess on one of the ones that offer a bigger reward. And I think it's important that understand that even when these investors take punts, right? They're not the same type of punts that rookie traders are taking. They're not just taking random money out of your bank account and be like, oh, let's see if we can make some money in a lottery ticket. Like it's a higher risk investment, but it's still something that has the probabilities in your favor, and it's with money that is dedicated for that specific purpose. You're not just randomly taking stuff, right?
Absolutely. With me, the level of speculation isn't to do with the skill; it's to do with the age or the kind of volatility of or the singularity of one particular asset. So, if I was to invest in a large cap stock, that's pretty low risk, you don't need much skill really. You can understand, everyone knows Coca-Cola, everyone knows it's not really going to go anywhere. Whereas if you start going up medium cap, small cap, startup, IPO, all those kind of things, then it gets more and more of a speculation. The more it gets to one person, like some guy going, will you invest money in me? That is going to be a higher speculation, but the skill doesn't change. So my analysis and my risk management and my attention to the details in the business doesn't change. It's just the asset itself. Yeah. So it's really important you understand that as well, because, people just think that they can go and apply some kind of punt strategy to something else, and it doesn't end well. It really doesn't. So don't be doing that. So I'd love to know in the comments what you guys like, your approach, and what you've found the difference, any differences you found between different markets help us all get an edge.
Yes.
Open up in the comments. Let us all know what you've found in different markets. What does play out? What are common patterns in different markets? So all of you guys can help. You can read and you can go and test some of these things and help each other grow. And also, I just want to say, if you're not already following myself and Akil on our own YouTube channels as well, we do have those, because I appreciate some of you have just found this channel. We do have our own channels, myself and Akil. We're both partners at Tier 1 Trading, and we've got almost, I think, about 100,000 followers between us, sorry, on our private YouTube channel. So go and check those out as well. Anything else to say, Akil?
No, just reminder about the event. If you like what you heard here and you're more intrigued with kind of understanding price, we're going to talk about that at the event. We're going to talk about all of the other aspects that go around the trading business as a whole as well. So again, we're not doing these things as often as we used to. So there's a little bit more urgency in making sure you catch it, or you're going to have to wait quite a bit for the next one. So just make sure you sign up again, whether you can attend live or catching the recording or both. We see a lot of people double dip and they get a lot out of it. You need to register. That way we can have a place to kind of send you and get you educated.
Amazing. Yeah. And we probably won't do another one of these events till next year, maybe like in the early part of next year. So,
yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So definitely get on there. And guys, let us know in the comments what you got from this. If you like this, please share it. And don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell to let us know when we go live again. And until next time, remember, less is more. Have a methodical approach. Think about what you're doing. And we'll see you next time. Take care.
Thanks for joining us for the Trader Coffee Break. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and don't forget to hit the notification bell to never miss a live discussion. Follow our hosts on social media. And remember, do nothing to gain perspective on everything. See you next week.